Hello everyone, this is Asra Sultana, Assistant Professor in Triple Department, working in ISL Engineering College. I am taking Power System Operation and Control subject for Triple Final Year students. So in the last class we have started with the third unit. So we will see the quick revision of what we have done in the unit 3. So unit 3 was load frequency control topic. So under that we have seen the governor characteristics, regulation of two generators, coherency, concept of control area, single area control, flat frequency control, flat tie line control, tie line bias control, and we have also developed the model for two area control. So the widespread use of electric clocks and the need for satisfactory operation of power stations which are running in parallel, and the relationship between the system frequency and the speed of the motors has led to the requirement of close regulation of power system frequency. So also we have seen in the previous classes why we have to maintain the frequency constant. Okay, now this system frequency and load will depend upon the governors of prime movers. So that is why we have to understand what is the characteristics of governor and what is the operation of governor. So this is the diagram showing basic characteristics of a governor. So with a given setting there will be a definite relationship between turbine speed and the load being carried by the turbine. Okay, so on y axis we are plotting speed and x axis we are plotting load. If the load carried by the turbine increases, speed will decrease. Okay, so we know the relationship between this load and speed. So they are inversely proportional to each other. As load increases, speed decreases. If the turbine is operating as at 25% load, the speed is about 99%. Here in this diagram we are showing here that when it is load is 25%, speed is 99%, and when load is 50%, speed is decreased to 98%. Okay, now if A is the initial operating point and load is dropped to 25%, the speed will increase. So in order to keep the speed same at A, governor setting by changing the spring tension in the fly ball type of governor will be resorted, and characteristics of governor will be indicated by the dotted line. So but practically seeing, the change in characteristics will be obtained by operating the governor control motor from the control room. Turbine can be adjusted to carry any given load at a desired speed. So the governor characteristics which I am showing here, it is an ideal characteristics. So practically this may not happen exactly same, but this is what ideal governor will act. Okay, now let us see the load frequency problem. If the system consists of a single machine connected to a group of loads, the speed and frequency will change in accordance with the governor characteristics. Okay, if it is not important to keep frequency constant, no regulation control will be required. So why we are regulating the speed? To keep the frequency as constant. Okay, so 50 hertz is the frequency which we have to maintain, and we are making that frequency constant by controlling the speed, or by regulation we are regulating the frequency constant. So frequency normally would vary by about 5% between light load and full load conditions. If constant frequency is required, the operator can adjust the speed of the turbine by changing the governor characteristics as and when required. Now let us see here few regulations, that is flat frequency regulation, selective frequency control, tie line load bias control. Okay, in this diagram we can see here there are two plants S1 and S2. They are connected through a tie line. Okay, if the So this what we are telling here that if the system consists of a single machine connected to a group of loads, speed and frequency will change in accordance with the governor characteristics. So now if the change in load is taken care by two machines running in parallel. So we are considering here two machines which are running in parallel. So the possibility of sharing the load between these two machines will be two machines will be controlling at a time, or one machine machine one at one time and machine two at another time. Okay, so based on that we are having different regulations. Now in this diagram we can see there are two regulations, S1 and S2. So and S1 and S2 are connected through a tie line. If the change in load is either at S1 or S2, and if the generation of S1 alone is regulated to adjust this change to make the frequency as constant, then this method of regulation is known as flat frequency regulation. Okay, what is flat frequency regulation? We are changing only the generation of S1 to make the frequency constant if there is a change in load either in S1 or S2. Okay, then it is called as flat frequency regulation. Next is parallel frequency regulation and flat tie line loading control methods. So next other possibility of sharing the change in load is that both S1 and S2 will regulate their generations to maintain the frequency constant. Then it is called as parallel frequency regulation. So what was flat frequency? Flat frequency was that only S1 was changing its regulation. Now both S1 and S2 are regulating their generations to maintain the frequency as constant if at all there is a change in load in S1 and S2. Okay, this is the second possibility. Third one is that the change in particular area will be taken care of by the generator in that area. So tie line loading will remain constant. So this method of regulating the generation for keeping the frequency as constant is called as flat tie line loading control. So what does this mean? That if there is a change in particular area, that is if there is a change in A1, then S1, then S1 is only regulating. If there is a change in S2, then S2 is only regulating to maintain the frequency constant. Then that is called as flat tie line loading control. Okay. Next is tie line loading. Common method of operating a large interconnected system assigns frequency control to a central system. Other systems are then controlled on the basis of system frequency and tie line loading. So this tie line loading can be used in three different ways. One is selective frequency control. So what is happening in selective frequency control? Here each system in the group takes care of load changes on its own system and does not aid the other systems in the group for changes outside its own limits. That is, it is selecting a particular system. So changes in load changes in its own system, and it will if there is a change in load in its system, it will control its own system and it will not bother about other systems. It will be under its limits. Then it is called as selective frequency control. Next is tie line load bias control. So this is the most commonly used method in which all power systems in the interconnection aid in regulating frequency regardless of where the frequency change originates. Okay, so wherever the change in frequency may originate, so so this will control that regulation wherever maybe the frequency changes originating. So equipment consists of a master load frequency controller and a tie line recorder measuring the power input on the tie. The tie line instrument biases the load frequency controller by changing the control point until the desired relationship exists between tie line loading and system frequency. So this is a diagram showing frequency versus tie line loading. So the solid line BB here you can see there is there are three lines here. We can see a BB, AA and CC. So the solid line BB will represent the characteristics similar to the governor characteristics. Okay, governor characteristics we have seen just now. Okay, in that we are, so this BB is representing the characteristics similar to governor characteristics, and AA represents the constant frequency characteristics. AA is representing the constant frequency characteristics. If the station is trying to maintain constant frequency, tie line load changes would vary over wide limits, whereas if it were working along A dash, tie line load would be held constant regardless of the frequency. Now let us see the load frequency and excitation voltage regulator of a turbo generator. So this is the schematic diagram of load frequency and excitation voltage regulator of a turbo generator. So here the controllers are set for a particular operating condition, and they will take care of small changes in load demand without voltage and frequency exceeding the pre-specified limits. If the operating conditions change, the controllers must be reset either manually or automatically. So in a large interconnected system, manual regulation is not feasible, so load frequency equipment is installed for each generator. And for voltage control also, voltage regulation equipment is installed for each generator. So these controllers in this load frequency and excitation voltage regulation diagram we have seen in that. So controllers are set for a particular operating condition, and they will take care of small changes in load demand without the voltage and frequency exceeding the pre-specified limits. Now let us see a very important concept of why we have to maintain the frequency as constant. Power system consists of number of synchronous generators which will be operating under different conditions at different places. The common thing about synchronous generators connected in a system is that they maintain synchronism with each other. So this means angular separation between the rotor of the generators will remain constant. Frequency needs to be constant, that is it has to be 50 Hz for the following reasons. First one, steam turbine blades are designed to operate in a narrow band of frequencies. Deviation of this frequency beyond the band may cause gradual or immediate turbine damage. Okay, so these turbine blades are designed so that they work under the limit of certain frequency. Okay, if they are operating above or below this frequency, this will cause the damage to the turbine. Okay, next, second point is, consequently protective and control equipment will take corrective action in case of under or over frequency. Third one, 50 Hz steam turbine may not be able to withstand frequency deviation of plus 2 Hz or minus 2.5 Hz for more than an hour in its entire life. So maximum it can exceed 2 Hz in the maximum value, and in the minimum value it can go to 2.5 Hz. A steam turbine. Okay, it will not, it cannot work beyond these limits. Fourth point, loads and other electrical equipment are usually designed to operate at a particular frequency. Off nominal frequency operation causes electrical loads to deviate from the desired output. Fifth point, output of power plant auxiliaries like pumps or fans may reduce, causing reduction in power plant output. Now, what is a control area? So let us see a single area control case here, load frequency control for a single area case. So let us consider the problem of controlling the power output of generators of a closely knit electrical area so as to maintain the scheduled frequency. All the generators in such an area constitute a coherent group so that all generators speed up and slow down together, maintaining their relative power angles. So that such an area is called as control area. Okay, this can be asked for 2 marks, that explain the concept of control area or define control area. So what is a control area? Control area is an area in which all the generators speed up and slow down together, maintaining their relative power angles. So this is the schematic diagram of a speed governing system which controls the real power flow in a power system. So the system will consist of the following components, that is fly ball governor, hydraulic amplifier, linkage mechanism, speed changer. Speed governor, linkage mechanism, hydraulic amplifier and speed changer. Fly ball speed governor. So this is the heart of the system which will sense the changes in speed and hence changes in frequency. As the speed increases, fly ball will move outwards and the point B on linkage mechanism will move downwards. So reverse will happen when the speed decreases. Next is hydraulic amplifier. It will consist of pilot valve and main piston. Low power level pilot valve movement is converted into high power level pilot valve. So this is necessary to open or close the steam valve against high pressure system. Next is linkage mechanism. So ABC is a rigid link pivoted at CDE, in another rigid link pivoted at D. Okay, there are ABC and CDE here in this diagram. You can see. So this will be A, B, C, D, E. So ABC is one link and CDE is another link. A, B, C is one link and CDE is another link. This link mechanism will provide movement to control valve in proportion to the change in speed. Next is speed changer. It will provide steady state power output setting for the turbine. Its downward movement will open the upper pilot valve so that more steam is admitted to the turbine under steady condition. Reverse will happen for upward movement of speed changer. Now let us see the model of speed governing system. Governor compensates for changes in shaft speed. Changes in load will lead to change in shaft speed, and change in shaft speed will be seen as a change in system frequency. Let us consider system frequency as F0 and generator output as FPG0, and that is generator output is nothing but turbine output. YE0 is steam valve setting. So we are obtaining a linear incremental model around these operating conditions. Let point A on the linkage mechanism is moved downwards by a small amount delta YA. So delta YA can be written as KC delta PC. Delta PC is commanded increase in power. So delta PC sets into motion a sequence of events, that is pilot valve will move upwards. So two factors will contribute to the movement of C, that is delta YA contributes minus L2 by L1 delta YA, or I can write this as minus K1 delta YA or minus K1 KC delta PC. Then increase in delta F causes fly balls to move outwards so that B moves downwards by proportion amount K2 dash delta F. Okay, so now delta YC is becoming equal to what? Minus K1 KC delta PC plus K2 delta F. Now movement of D, because of movement of D, delta YD is the amount by which the pilot valve is opening. So it is contributed by delta YC and delta YE, and now delta YD can be written as L4 by L3 plus L4 delta YC plus L3 by L3 plus L4 delta YE. So now we are getting the third equation, that is delta YD is K3 delta YC plus K4 delta YE. Now delta YE can be written as K5 integral 0 to T minus delta YDT. So taking the Laplace transform of equation 2, 3 and 4, delta YC of S, delta YD of S and delta YE of S, we got the equations 5, 6, 7. So eliminating delta YC of S and delta YD of S, I got the delta YE of S as delta PC minus 1 by R delta F of S into KSG by 1 plus TSG into S. So now I am drawing the block diagram of this, that is KSG by 1 plus TSG into S. Here this is the summing point. So delta YE of S is here, and 1 by R delta F of S. So this is 1 by R into delta F of S. and delta PC of S is here. So delta PC of S minus 1 by R delta F of S into KSG by 1 plus TSG into S is equal to delta Y of S. Okay. So this equation 8 I am drawing as block diagram here. So what is that? See, delta PC of S minus 1 by R into delta F of S into KSG by 1 plus TSG into S is equal to delta Y of S. So same diagram I have shown here. You can draw it like this also. Now so this is the speed governing system model. Now we are going to see the turbine model. Okay, now we have to develop 3 models here. One is speed governing system model, turbine model, and generator load model. Okay, 3 models we are developing here. Okay, understanding students what we are doing here? We are developing 3 models, that is speed governing system model, turbine model, and generator load model. Then all these 3 we are combining at one place and naming it as isolated power system. And we are drawing the complete block diagram considering all the models. Okay, so now let us see the second model, turbine model. The prime mover driving a generator unit may be a steam turbine or a hydro turbine. The models for prime mover must take into account steam supply and boiler control system characteristics in case of steam turbine. Dynamic response of steam turbine in terms of changes in generator power output delta Pg to change in steam valve opening, that is delta Xc. So we are considering now dynamic response of a steam turbine in terms of changes in power output to changes in steam valve opening, delta YE. So this is a 2-stage steam turbine system. So delta YE. The dynamic response is influenced by 2 factors, that is entrant steam turbine between inlet steam valve and first stage of turbine, and second one is storage action in the reheater, which will cause the output of low pressure stage to lag behind that of high pressure stage. So turbine transfer function is characterized by 2 time constants. Typically the time constant TT will lie in the range 0.2 to 2.5 seconds. So transfer function model of the steam turbine is shown here. So KT by 1 plus TTS, and this is delta Y of S, and this is delta PT of S. Now let us see the third model, that is generator load or power system model. To develop the mathematical model of an isolated generator which is only supplying local load and not supplying power to other area. Suppose there is a real change of load delta PD. So due to action of turbine controllers, generator increases the output by an amount delta PG. So net surplus power, that is delta PG minus delta PD, will be absorbed by the system in 2 ways. First one, increasing the kinetic energy in the rotor at the rate, and the second one is as the frequency changes, the motor load changes, being sensitive to speed, rate of change of load with respect to frequency. So the increment in power input to the system accounted for 2 ways: rate of increase of stored kinetic energy, so that is WKE naught is equal to H into PR kilowatt second. PR is nothing but kilowatt rating of the turbo generator, and H is defined as its inertia constant. So kinetic energy is proportional to the square of the speed or square of the frequency. So kinetic energy is equal to WKE naught into F naught plus delta F by F naught square, or it is nearly equal to HPR into 1 plus 2 delta F by F naught. Rate of change of kinetic energy is therefore equal to 2 HPR by F naught d by dt of delta F. As the frequency changes, motor load changes, being sensitive to speed. Rate of change of load with respect to frequency is dou PD by dou F can be regarded as nearly constant for small changes in frequency delta F, and can be expressed as dou PD by dou F is equal to B delta F, where B is can be determined empirically. B is positive for a predominantly motor load. Writing the power balance equation, we can write this as delta PG minus delta PD equal to 2 HPR by F naught d by dt of delta F plus B delta F. So dividing throughout by PR, so delta PG per unit minus delta PD per unit is 2H by F naught d by dt of delta F plus B per unit into delta F. So we are taking the Laplace transform. You can write delta f of s as delta pg of s minus delta pd of s by b plus 2h by f naught s, or this can be written as delta pg of s minus delta pd of s into kps by 1 plus tps into s. Tps is 2h by b f naught, that is power system time constant, and kps is 1 by b, that is power system gain. So this can be expressed in block diagram like this, that is delta pg minus delta pd of s. This is delta pg and this is minus delta pd of s into kps by 1 plus tps s is equal to delta f of s. Okay, so this is the block diagram representation of generator load model. Same thing I have drawn here. Now we are combining all these three models, speed governor, turbine model, and generator load model, and we are writing the load frequency control of a single area case. Okay, combining all the three block diagrams. So what we can see here, case G by 1 plus TSG, this is for speed governor, this is for turbine, and this is the for generator load model. Okay, let us see the numericals here. 100 MVA synchronous generator operates on full load at a frequency of 50 Hz. The load is, so one more thing, that this is very important question. So in the exam, this can be asked for 10 marks, that is from fundamentals, obtain the block diagram representation of a single area controlled power system network. Okay, so this can be asked for 10 marks. So all the three models you have to write and explain and draw the diagrams and write the equations, then you may get the 10 marks. Okay, now let us see the numericals. A 100 MVA synchronous generator operates on full load at a frequency of 50 Hz. The load is suddenly reduced to 50 megawatt. The load of 25 megawatt is suddenly applied to the machine. For case 1, due to time lag in governor system, the steam valve begins to close after 0.4 seconds. Say case 2, due to time lag in governor system, the steam valve begins to open after 0.6 seconds. Determine the change in frequency that occurs in this time. H is given as 5 kilowatt second per kVA of generator capacity. So first one we have finding out here kinetic energy stored in rotating parts of generator and turbine, that is given as HPR. Kinetic energy is given as 5 into 100 into 1000, that is 5 into 10 power 5 kilowatt seconds. Excess power input to generator before the steam valve begins to close is 50 megawatt. Excess kinetic energy input to rotating parts in 0.4 seconds is 50 into 10 power 3 into 0.4, that is 2 into 10 power 4 kilowatt seconds. Kinetic energy is proportional to frequency square. We note this. Okay, we note this. So F dash by F whole square equal to WKE dash by WKE. That is F dash is equal to F into root of WKE dash by WKE. So substitute the values here. We are going to get the F dash value as 51 Hertz. So now case 2. So case 2. So we have seen here we have to take the two cases. First one is completed, that is due to time lag in governor system, steam valve begins to close after 0.4 seconds. This is over. Now second one is what? Due to time lag governor system, the steam valve will begin to open after 0.6 seconds. So now we are taking into consideration the second case, that is kinetic energy lost by the rotor in 0.6 seconds is 25 into 10 power 3 into 0.6, that is 15 into 10 power 3 kilowatt second. WKE dash is 5 into 10 power 5 minus 15 into 10 power 3. Now F dash is equal to F root WKE dash by WKE, that is 50 into this value 5 into 10 power 5 minus 15 into 10 power 3 by WKE value is 5 into 10 power 5. 49.16 Hertz is the frequency now. Hence it can be concluded that if the load is suddenly reduced, frequency will increase. Now second question, two generators rated 200 megawatt and 400 megawatt are operating in parallel. The droop characteristics of their governor are 4% and 5% respectively from no load to full load. Assume that the generators are operating at 50 Hz at no load. How would a load of 600 megawatt be shared between them? What will be the system frequency at this load? Let us see the solution. As the generators are in parallel, they will operate at same frequency. So let load on generator 1 is x megawatt and load on generator 2 is 600 minus x megawatt. So reduction in speed is delta f. So delta f by x is 0.04 into 50 by 200, and delta f by 600 minus x is 0.05 into 50 by 400. Solving 1 and 2, we are going to get the values of x, that is x and x is 231 megawatt load on generator 1, and load on generator 2 is 600 minus x, that is 369 megawatt. For an isolated single area, consider the following data, that is area capacity is 1000 megawatt, nominal operating load is 500 megawatt, and initial constant 5 second, regulation is 2.5 hertz per unit megawatt, normal frequency 50 hertz. Load decreases by 1% for decrease in frequency by 1%. Find the gain and time constant of power system representing with a first order transfer function. If it is an uncontrolled area, then find out the change in frequency due to increase of load by 75 megawatt. Let us to see the solution of this problem. B is dou PD by dou F, that is 0.01 into 500 by 0.01 into 50, that is 0.01 per unit megawatt per hertz. TPS is 2h by B F naught, that is 20 seconds we are getting here. KPS is 1 by B, that is 1 by 0.01 100 hertz per unit megawatt. So delta PD is given as 75 megawatt, R is given as 25 hertz per unit megawatt. So delta F is equal to how much? Minus of 1 by B plus 1 by R into delta PD. Substitute all the values, we are going to get the change in frequency as minus 0.1825. Thank you students for watching the video. So next class we are going to see about the area control error and pool operation. Okay. So and also we are going to see about the two area load frequency control. Okay. I hope everyone understood today's lecture. Thank you everyone for watching the video.